Hello, 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 my beautiful, powerful, everyday women of the world. You are the fabric that holds it all together, sister. Welcome to the Startup Stories podcast, where the ambitious everyday woman is heard, held, and served in life and business. Make your dreams come true between the laundry and your ambition. I'm your host, Mia Frankel of Powerful Inc., the everyday women's coach for living a peaceful and productive life. I'm bringing you relatable stories to keep you sane, grounded, and growing as you expand yourself and deliver your purpose to the world. And today I have a beautiful guest named Tricia Conyers who is going to unpack her story with us and share what it's like to grow a beautiful, successful business and what she's learned about herself along the way and the choices and behaviors that she grew awareness around in order to create the life and business that she has today. We're going to unpack her story as a testimony to what's possible for yourself. Okay. So Tricia is calling in from Trinidad Tobago, which is kind of exciting. We're getting more international guests on the show, which is awesome. And, just making friends all over, which I love. And in looking at Tricia's internet presence, you had a post on your Instagram that said, scroll all the way to the bottom. Scroll all the way to the bottom to when Tricia started, when she was showing up before she fully felt ready or qualified or super confident. And as a women's empowerment coach, goals and empowerment coach, it's so key to live by example and to move into action before you feel ready. We might have heard this ad nauseum over our self-development journey, but are we actually living into it? Are we actually building the awareness that says, I say I want this, but am I aligning my action to match that? Or am I still allowing myself to shrink and hide? And this isn't judgment. This is awareness, so then we can bring in a new choice. And Tricia's going to walk us through this because she's lived it and still lives it. And as she said in the preamble that was not recorded, um, it's not like you ever reach a confidence destination and open the door and you're like, oh, there it all is, my inventory for life. It's a skill that we're always developing and always improving so that we can take ourselves further. And Tricia has spent over 20 years in leadership development and organizational change. So she knows what she's talking about, right? She's come across environments where people are resistant to something because it's unknown, and then helping normalize and move through that until it becomes known. With over a decade as a vice president of learning and development for a boutique consulting organization in Houston, from there, she's leveraged her skills to found her current coaching practice, Inspire Her Coaching. And she works exclusively with women committed to goals, growth, and confidence. And we're going to unpack all of this, but like confidence to trust your decisions. What am I making for supper? Trust maybe your family travel plans. Will I actually book this trip to Disneyland and trust that I can execute and afford it, perhaps? Trust a car purchase, trust a date, perhaps, a romantic relationship, your parenting skills. Like in all elements, there's areas to practice confidence that compound so that your desires move from your heart into the real world. So, two more things before I let her talk. Is I just want to be clear and promote, even though it'll be in the show notes. Today is June 23. So on Saturday, June 27, she's hosting a Fearlessly You retreat. So we're going to share links for that. And she's also has a book coming out soon this year. I'm just looking for it. Why don't you just tell us the name of it so I'm not scrambling here?
It's called Confidence is Action,
Yeah,
and it comes
Confidence
out
is
in
Action.
September.
Comes out in September. So we will keep the audience apprised of that as well. So Tricia, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to go through your lived experience and your journey today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me with you and your beautiful community. I love what you say about the women in your community who they are the ones who want to feel like they can make it happen when they're living between laundry and ambition. That totally resonates with me
Mhm.
because we have full and complete life between laundry and ambition. We live between the day-to-day demands and the draws of what it takes to keep our life turning and to keep our families together and all the things that we want and have to do for our lives the way they are. And we also have these ambitions and these goals that we want to live into. And somewhere in between that day-to-day living and that ambitious dreaming, we can feel like we can get lost in there. Like, can
Yeah,
I really make it
yeah,
happen?
yeah,
Can I bridge that gap? Can I bridge the gap between what has to happen today and who I am and how I live and this version of where I want to go and this life that I want to create? I love that. And it is so true for us as women. It is so true that that is a big question that we often face. I hear it so regularly with
yeah.
women that come to me. That's the challenge that they're facing. Can I bridge the gap between where I am, who I want to step into? And I hear them say things like, I can see this version of myself just in
Mm,
front of me. She's
yeah,
just a bit more brilliant. She's
yeah.
just a bit bigger. She's doing something that just lights her up in slightly a different way,
Mhm,
but I don't know just how to step into her. She's
mhm.
just like one step in front of me, and I know she's there, but I don't know how to get into her. So I love how you call it that living between laundry and ambition because it's so true. That is our lives. That's who we are.
I mean, it's our day to day, and I de-glamorize the coaching world, the pursuit of self-development, so that it's very relatable. Because if we can't picture ourselves at the kitchen sink growing, it becomes a bit too abstract or maybe feels unattainable.
Mhm.
And that's why the examples I gave is like, this isn't about necessarily finding a stage in your local community to go out and give the best motivational speech you'll ever give and go viral. It's about deeply integrating the choices, values, integrity, and confidence of the woman who's leading herself forward. Right.
Mhm.
So let's go through that with you as an example. Like you had a corporate career and then something shifted, but the dream, I'm gonna guess, was already there at the beginning as a quiet whisper.
Yeah, I thank you for that. I had a beautiful, wonderful, and there were so many fantastic things about it, corporate career. It was everything that I had hoped for from in the decades that I spent there. I spent 20 years with one particular organization, a boutique organization out of Houston, where we worked in the capacity of behavior change. I had a great salary. I had an amazing team. I had great mentors, all of these things. And, 20 years into it, I loved it. And there was a draw inside of me that said there has to be something more.
Mhm.
So I was grateful for it and I loved it. But there was a tension in me that there was just something else. I was like, there has to be something more. But I didn't know what more was.
Mhm.
I didn't know what more was. I didn't know
Mhm.
exactly what it looked like. I didn't know
Mhm.
exactly what shape it was going to take, nothing. And I really struggled with that for a long time. I struggled with that tension. I also struggled with the feeling that I should be grateful for what I
Mhm.
have
Yeah,
and I shouldn't be allowed
yeah,
to want more. Am I
yeah.
being ungrateful
Mhm.
to want more? Because on the surface, I
Yeah.
had a great job, I had a great team, I had great colleagues, I made a great salary. There was nothing to complain about.
Mhm.
I had great opportunities. I had pivoted and changed and learned so many new things over career. I had freedom in those ways. I had so
Sure.
many wonderful things to be grateful for. But yet that tension was in me about just wanting more. I couldn't define it. And then I started to feel like, well, am I even allowed to do that? Am I even
Mhm.
allowed to want that?
Right.
So that was a real struggle. It was a real conflict and it was a real struggle. And it was something that I sat with for a very long time.
While you were still working?
Uh,
while you were still working. So you're in corporate, you're going to work,
Yes,
and yet the
yes,
thread out has started and pulling at you kind of into an
exactly.
unknown way. So that's important because, you're allowing something new to start to grow. And I love that you don't have to have it all figured out just yet, but you're paying attention to something new happening now.
Yes. And what I like to say about that kind of growth at that moment in time, it was all invisible growth. It was stuff under the surface. It's the
Mhm.
seedling that's under the surface and it's the
Yeah,
roots that are growing. But there was nothing that even I could see. Because, like I
right.
said, I couldn't even articulate what it would be.
Hmm.
And when I finally did make the choice to say, okay, I'm going to go off and I'm going to give this a go, I still didn't exactly know what it was going to be.
Okay.
And so I'm going to be really honest, that first year of leaving was even more tension and
Mhm.
struggle and figuring out. And those thoughts that you will find yourself in, like, have I made a mistake? Have
Mhm.
I done the wrong thing? Because
Mhm.
it didn't just unfold in a beautiful
Right,
red carpet of
right.
all the answers and, a beautiful business that just blossomed from the seedling of an idea that I
Mhm.
had. That's not how it happened.
Yeah.
It was more really small, experiential, experimenting growth, trying and learning and failing and realizing this doesn't work going anyway. And it was also a process of being very curious about myself and about what others were saying and listening for what I was putting out there that was resonating with people. So, what was it that was resonating? And then it was taking those things and
Mhm.
trying to amplify them
Mhm.
to bring them to
Yeah.
life in different ways. So it wasn't just a easy transition,
Yeah.
and it's still an experimentation. It still is. Every day is an experimentation and learning and listening and hearing and trying new things. It definitely has more shape now. And I can remember one day, a couple of years in, saying to my husband at the end of the day, kind of like, what am I doing? Like, I don't even know if this is really going to work out. And I remember
Yeah.
he said to me, well, you've gone way too far now to turn back. The
Mhm.
moment of turning back has passed. He said,
Mhm.
you've gone too far. And I thought, what, he's right. I have. I've just been taking one small step every
Mhm.
single day. And
Mhm.
there's a moment somewhere along the way where it became something.
So you had to make a decision at some point and quit or retire from your
Yeah.
job and leave to go into the great unknown and trust yourself to discover what was calling you.
Mhm.
Right. And so this is so beautiful for a confidence coach because you had to choose confidence before you had evidence to reflect it back. But this is where, as women, we can be so hard on ourselves to not discount what we can leverage from our professional and personal lives, right? It's not like you were 5 years old and trying to establish a business. You were sitting on a ton of credibility, a ton of transferable skills. But of course, I've seen so many times where when we transition, the business becomes emotional and we're navigating that with ourselves. So, what were some things that you started to learn in that? I love how you said that the invisible personal development. If we picture the soil and everything that's happening underneath before it starts to come up, it's such a good visualization to let our nervous system rest while
Mhm.
we build, while we literally grow, if we're picturing that seed sprouting into roots, reaching for the sky.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that visualization as well because there is so much in the story because we don't get to the fruit until way much further into
Yeah,
the
yeah,
growth, right? There's
yeah.
so much growing. We have to go through the seedling, the small plant before we become the tree and the
And
fruit behind it.
survive everything along the
Exactly.
way.
Absolutely. And I love what you said as well, in that time. I had evidence, but it was my past career. It was evidence from my experience. It was evidence of my capabilities. It was the skill set I had grown. It was the learning that I had done and invested into myself. So I did have evidence. I had evidence of how I could be successful, and that I really leaned on. I had evidence of what my strengths were, what
Mhm.
I was good at, what my skill sets were, and that's what I was drawing from. I was stepping into a lot of new spaces where I hadn't yet
Right.
found evidence in the sense of new skills that I had to learn, new capabilities I had to grow, whether that was about how I spoke about my business or how I learned to sell or how I learned to market, how I learned to be visible and put myself out there. Those things I didn't necessarily have to do before when I was in the
Mhm.
safe space of an organization with a team that did those activities and had those roles. So that was new, but I did have a lot of evidence. And I think it's really important for women to remember that because sometimes we just see the things that we don't know and we
Mhm.
discount all the things that we are drawing from and we're learning from. And if it's one thing that I have learned through my work and working with other women is confidence comes from evidence. Confidence is built on evidence and you have to collect the evidence,
Yeah.
right? And you already have a lot more than you give yourself credit for.
Mhm.
Women, we're really quick. We downplay it, we discount it, we don't acknowledge it, and we only see the gaps.
Mhm.
We don't see all the evidence that we have. And I think that's one of the biggest practices that women can do for themselves that really nurtures and strengthens their confidence is to
Yeah.
collect their evidence. And that can be as small as writing down one win every
Mhm.
day.
Mhm.
One win. What's the thing that you did today that went well? And what was it about you that made it go well? What was it about you?
Yeah.
So while I was in that space, I was learning lots of new things, but I was trying to remember they're small steps. You just have to take one small step. And I think that's a really important point for women to remember as well, because like we are saying, when we're living in that space between laundry and ambition, there are literally small steps that we can take between loads of laundry that make a difference, right? That might be sending a voice note to
Mhm.
someone,
Mhm.
sending an email. I remember the day that I kicked off my first cohort of my coaching program. I literally sent 4 voice notes to 4 close friends
Mhm.
and just they were just on the boundary of close friends and kind of people just on the outskirts of that. And I was like,
Mhm.
hey, would you be interested in this? I just asked a question. Would you be interested in this? And I can remember the day I was alone here in my house. I was in my kitchen, walking around the island in the
Yeah.
kitchen, just sending the voice notes. I deleted them probably about 3 times. I re-recorded
Yeah.
them and I sent them again. I took this action. I sent maybe 6 or 7 voice notes that day, and 4 of them said yes. And that
Beautiful.
was the birth of my group coaching program. I've now run that over a dozen times. I've had dozens of women go through that. And
Mhm.
that went on to be the thing that created new interventions. My workshop that you're talking about,
Yeah.
Fearlessly You, where I've had hundreds of women go through that workshop, learning more about confidence, right? That was the birthplace of all of the research and the quantitative and qualitative data that I captured that went into the book that's coming
Mhm.
out later this year. From that one action where I was walking around the kitchen,
Yeah.
sending voice notes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's the smallest thing. Sometimes we think everything has to be so grand. Everything
Yeah.
has to be so grand for it to be worthwhile. But it's the smallest things that count. And in those moments of doing that, the smallest message, getting over the fear and the self-doubt of sending it, that's how you're collecting evidence as well. You're collecting evidence of your self-trust. You're
Mhm.
collecting evidence that you back yourself, that you believe in this, and
Yeah.
you're putting yourself out there. You're trying something new. You're saying yes to you.
This is, yeah. Say it again for those in the back. Say yes to yourself.
Mhm.
It's so beautiful. So, listeners, here Tricia has shown that she willingly walked forward into the unknown to be true to herself and was willing to go first in order to learn and see what would come from it. And it's, again, so important. Didn't have it all figured out, didn't exactly know, but started with small actions. And um, what where confidence really comes is when you do what you say you want to do. So it's not even about the response to the voice note, it's about sending the
Yeah.
voice note. Just sending, like I'm getting goosebumps and I'm reminding myself too. So I kind of get into complacency with the doing of the things, but it's remembering to be the woman who follows through on what she wants. And that's how we build. And that is a very personal and intimate space with yourself. And you know what? If you send one voice note in a week, take that as your win because you
Yeah.
did the thing. You sweated, you deleted, you tried again. But the other piece is look at what happened when she did that. 4 out of 7 said yes. So here's where we get on our bandwagon about our responsibility to fulfill our purpose and be of service to others because women are waiting on us.
Mhm.
Women are waiting on us. You mentioned hundreds now coming through the Fearlessly You retreat. If you weren't willing to trust yourself and put that out there, those women wouldn't be benefiting and being able to participate in the ripple effect of that,
Yeah.
right? So this is where we get really attached as though it means something about us.
Mhm.
And it does. It means, am I being the woman that I say I want to be? Am I actually living as her? Or am I just thinking and dreaming about her without taking action? That's much safer. That's
Yeah.
less risky. That's less vulnerable. But both Trisha and I guarantee it will cost you a piece of yourself every day.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I would add to that, in all the conversations that I have had with women, coaching rooms, retreat spaces, workshops, all these things. Over and over, I've had women tell me what life is like when they live from a place of confidence and
Mhm,
when they're lacking that in their lives. And
mhm.
the contrast is really stark. They use words like when I have confidence, I have clarity, I have courage, I have self-trust, which is all that you're talking about here. I trust myself, I have belief in myself, I have influence, I have meaning. They say I have freedom.
Yeah,
These are the things that they say. I
yeah,
have peace
yeah.
when I live from that place. Versus when I don't live from that place, I'm insecure. I
Mhm,
feel fear. I have confusion. I'm paralyzed. I
mhm,
feel stress, sadness, regret,
mhm.
loneliness. Right?
Yeah.
It's such a contrast in terms of when we feel like we are living from a place of authentic confidence.
Mhm,
And I like to say that authentic confidence, it's made up of three things. I like to say it's made up of your three selves, your brilliant self,
mhm,
your brave self, and your bold self. It's all three. And you have to nurture all three of those selves. So much of what we're talking about here is the belief that I can be successful, the belief that I will take action, also nurturing myself. That's all part of my brilliance. It's kind of nurturing my brilliant side. But we also have to be brave. We have to take the small actions.
yeah.
We have to put ourselves out there. We have to not worry about those people that said no. I often say now, when I think about every single time I put a retreat out there, I'll
Yeah.
send I'll send a message out to hundreds of women saying this retreat is coming up. 10 will say yes,
Right.
right? But if I evaluated my value on the,
Mhm,
390
mhm,
that say no, no, thank you, not right
mhm.
now, how would I feel? I choose to look at the yeses. And what I say now is every no is a stepping stone to a yes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I know that the yes is coming after a whole bunch of no's. You have
Mhm.
to expect more no's than yeses. Not
That's right.
everybody is going to be able to come for various reasons, be that timing, commitments, family commitments, maybe it's finances. It could be anything. There could be so many reasons why people say no. And I know now that there has to be probably 10 or 15 no thank yous before I get one yes. So
Mhm.
love the no, right? Bring them
Love the
on because I
no.
know that a yes is on the other side of a whole bunch of them. So the more no's I get, is there's a yes coming. And the more no's I get, that tells me people are reading it, people are
Mhm,
interested. They're taking
mhm,
the time to tell me no, thank you. They don't even
mhm.
have to do that as well.
Well,
So what do we
yeah,
choose to look at? What do we choose to look at? Do I choose to look at the no's and let that define me? Or do I choose to reframe that? right? That's also my brave self coming to life.
It ties into, do you have the confidence to hold the no's? Because we think it's great. We love it, like the it being the offer. And you have to love it so much that you can accept the rejection that comes with it
Mhm.
and not take it personally. How many stores do we walk by? How many sales folk do we speak to who really want us to buy the thing and we say, no, thank you? I've had door to door solicitors coming by for charities. No, thank you. And yeah, when it happens to us, we like panic. Oh no,
Yeah.
that's shattered. I have no identity anymore. And so it's beautiful to normalize no's as part of the journey and get real and more solid with yourself to keep pursuing anyway.
Mhm.
Now, maybe if it's, I'm going to get really crazy here, Tricia, maybe if you're selling something like crushed glass mascara and people are saying no, thank you, maybe there's a bit of patent revision that you could consider,
Yes, agreed.
but like something that's holistic and pure and sincere. You have to withstand the no's. That's part of your leadership development. So, what healing has this brought forward in you, and where did it further deepen your sense of confidence? Because now you're leading rooms, now you're facilitating workshops, you're increasing visibility. And we heard where you started, great career recap if you're folding laundry while listening and maybe got distracted, working corporate, feeling a desire, following that desire, and now leading forward and not only building your own confidence but teaching it to others. So where has Tricia grown and developed ways to increase her confidence, which I'll quickly plug? She has a confidence quiz, and in the results you get those three elements of confidence and then three or four archetypes. And it's really beautiful because it reflects back to you something you might not be seeing about yourself, which will give you some encouragement and some confidence to move forward.
Yeah.
Understanding yourself is the way. That's the running thread here, is learning to understand yourself more. So yeah, take us through like, those 7 voice notes to those 4 yeses to the Fearlessly You retreat. What was happening? It sounds like momentum's building.
Yeah, how have I grown? I think it's the question that you have asked me. And I'll say one of the biggest ways that I have grown is in my own thinking, my own empowered thinking, and
Yeah.
choosing empowered thinking. So that's one example that I was just giving you there. And just to build on that example about nurturing the nose and loving the nose, I remember an afternoon sitting with my dad. We were having a conversation about failure. And I
Mhm.
asked him, I said, Dad, well, how do you define failure? And he said to me, an unexpected discovery on the path to success.
Mhm.
And I just thought, wow, what an incredible definition of failure. It had nothing to do with him. Did
Mhm.
not, it did not define him in any
Mhm.
shape or form. Success was inevitable, right?
Mhm.
Because it's on the path to
Yeah.
success. And this was just some new thing that he found.
Yeah.
If you thought about failure like that, would you fear it? Right. And so, and I give you this example because I think this is one of the biggest ways that I have grown and I continue to grow. It
Mhm.
is learning about the automatic negative thoughts that are probably deeply embedded in me and my own nervous system, my own reactions, my own growth over the years, the things that I have believed that I don't even necessarily maybe know where they come from.
Yeah.
But taking control of that and choosing more empowered thinking.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest ways that I have grown. I'm a coach myself and I have multiple coaches. You know,
Right.
I
Yeah.
practice with them. I
Yeah.
practice my coaching skills with them, and I am very much a coachee with
Mhm.
them.
Mhm.
And I get the opportunity in those spaces to really dig into my beliefs
Yeah.
and are they true?
Yeah.
because we're living our lives based on many assumptions that are deeply embedded in us that we believe to be true, and
Mhm.
they are untrue assumptions. And when we can reframe those untrue assumptions, we can see a completely different path of possibility.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
one of the biggest ways that I have grown. And I think it's something that I continue to practice and nurture, because that is a journey. It's not a destination. It is
Mhm.
something that you have to continue to work on all the time. You're going to reframe one belief and something else is going to pop up. It's just going to be the next level of the belief or a different challenge that's going to pop up. So you have to continue to do that all the time. And in that, it's not just that is unlearning in some ways. That's
Mhm.
unlearning a lot of things that you always believed to be true. And the journey is both. It's both learning new things. How do I do new things that I haven't done? How do I listen? How do I create? How do I respond? How do I lean into that new side, the kind of creativity? But it's also unlearning things that no longer serve you. And you have to be willing to do both.
Yeah, it one of the best exercises I ever learned from a coach was a side-by-side comparison. So when a belief that says no one's going to want your offer comes in, you could put beside it the complete opposite.
Yeah.
That's like positive Polly versus anxious Annie. That
Yeah.
says one person will, one
Yeah.
person will,
Yeah.
and as you're describing that, I'm in my analogy mode. I'm picturing the post office and all the mail getting sorted. So your thoughts are the mail, and you're looking at them and sending them to the right location. Garbage, junk mail, check.
I love
Free
that.
ticket, contest winner.
Oh, beautiful. I love this.
Spam, spam, spam,
Yeah. Yeah.
and sorting it, because this is where we get really sovereign with ourselves, is um, moving from reactive to proactive. And that's where the peace and freedom really lands. And that is where your capacity to hold more between laundry and ambition opens up. If you've been listening to my show, I volunteer, I work, I podcast, I coach. I've written, how did I even get chapters into books? Like, where did that even happen last year?
Yeah.
These things happen because I'm taking the action and I'm choosing priorities in the day to day, but I'm also choosing myself along the
Mhm.
way, right? And um, it's I don't have time is one limiting thought, or I'll figure it out and I'll make time. And
Mhm.
I'll write 20 minutes here and an hour there, and I'll figure it out. And I'm just going to do it and not worry about the logistics. And then, bam, the space has opened. The space
Mhm.
has opened. I think, for real evidence to the listeners, I was sitting at 98 episodes at the end of 2025, and I wanted to get to 100. And it was December. We were like at the bottom of the ninth, as they like to say in baseball. And boom, I got guests, and I was able to record them before, because you're taking the action to do it. So, Tricia, it'd be a really great opportunity to pick from you maybe a few examples of women who have come through your coaching who were, dysregulated, but had a desire, and maybe we could say stuck within themselves, tight, constricted, but still knowing there was something on the other side, and what you saw shift through them, and maybe the word breakthrough that helped them set themselves free a little bit. Because I'm sure there's listeners who are like, well, that sounds good for you, but I'm different, and yeah, I want to hear maybe from somebody who's more like me, who made it work.
Yeah. Thanks for that beautiful question. In the book, I was really intentional about including stories from women who were
Mhm.
not Fortune 500 CEOs,
Yeah,
movie stars, and, entertainers, but
yeah,
women who were exactly like me, navigating a journey themselves. Could be your next door neighbor, could be you. It
yeah.
was really important to me that the book was stories that included stories of women like that. And the book has a number of chapters that have been co-written by 8 different women that have contributed to the book as well. And they're telling their own confidence journey in
Beautiful.
there. So it's my hope that women will really see themselves in those chapters, because it's very much the normal woman who has dreams and ambitions, but she also has life and a job, and she's trying to, keep her family together, make ends meet, and do all the things that she's supposed to be doing
Mhm.
as well. So I'll give you, there are many different examples in the book, but I'll give you two that really stand out for me. I won't call names just
Yeah.
in case. But one woman in particular, she was living her life, just, she had a job. She was just kind of going through the motions
Yeah.
of life as we know it. And she always had a burning desire since she was a little girl to be a performer. She really wanted to record an album and be a performer. She was a beautiful singer, and she had dabbled in and out of this space for a long time, kind of dropping in and dropping out of it. When she came to the program, the group coaching program that I run, she was like, I don't want to live my life with regret.
Mhm.
I don't want to get to an age in my life where I look back and think, I really wish I had given this a proper try. And so that was the goal that she wanted to work on. And a lot of the ways that I work with women on confidence is by putting a goal that we want, something that we want to create right in front of us so that we can work toward that. Because it's in taking action toward that thing that
Yeah.
we get the opportunity to learn about ourselves. We get the opportunity to show self-trust, to
Yeah.
show up for ourselves, to prove that we're going to do it, and to back ourselves. This is where we get to discover how we think and the assumptions and the beliefs that are running the script in our mind in service of trying to achieve something. So that was the goal that she wanted to work on. And long story short, what I would say is by the end of the program, she had recorded her first full album that she had done.
Uh,
And she was now setting out to kind of figure out how she was going to get that onto the local circuit. But the thing I want to say about it is that as we met week by week and as we worked on this goal together, the thing that she always worked on was never obstacle, the tactical obstacle on the path to recording the album. It was never
mhm.
the tactical thing. It was always the mindset thing. It was,
Mhm.
what were the beliefs that were running the show?
Mhm.
Maybe that could have been, I'm too old to do this now.
Mhm.
This isn't for me.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough. I don't have the right connections to be able to do this. I'll never be a success.
Mhm.
It was the beliefs that were running the script that were the real obstacle. We often talk about the thing that's external and we say,
Yeah.
oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, I can't make it do. But that's actually probably much more of an excuse for
Yes.
something that's going on in our mind
Yes.
that we don't want to say out loud, and we don't want to unpack, and we don't want to face. Right.
Or
And
we're not even aware of. But
yes,
it's so much easier. This is so important. Um, that if you want something and something goes awry, you're like, oh, well, it's not meant to be. The
yes,
door was shut for me,
yeah,
right? And then you abdicate responsibility
yeah,
to an external source, and then you start to deteriorate your heart's desire, right? You abandon what you really want. I
mhm,
love, the longevity. You have to have the longevity of the vision to see it through. 20 years. Your story is 20 plus years, however long Inspire Her has been around since leaving corporate, in the making. And you have to think past that. So, if you're climbing a mountain, you just have to keep going until you get to the peak, even if you can't see it yet.
yeah,
And it's so important to see that obstacle like you're describing, and bravo to that woman. My heart is singing in joy for her to do what she's always wanted to do from age 5, you said, until however old she is now. Let's call it 50 years.
yeah.
50 years to see the vision through. Worth it? Do you think she's thrilled?
Thrilled.
Right?
Absolutely thrilled. And
Yeah.
her story is actually in the book, so you can read more about it. She
Yeah.
talks about, driving in her mother's car as a little girl, just dreaming about a day, something that she wanted so much. And I just want to add to what you were just saying. What's so dangerous when we make the external thing the reason why we can't, when we put the blame on that external thing, is what we're actually doing is telling ourselves we can't,
Yeah.
right? So instead of backing yourself, instead of showing up for yourself to be able to figure it out, you're actually telling yourself, I'm not capable. And that in itself, the same way I'm saying that confidence is built on evidence, that is evidence too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not the kind of evidence we want,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's also evidence. And if you do that enough, if you do that enough, then you're saying, then you start to tell yourself the story that I never finish what I complete,
Yeah.
right? I'm not worthy. And that's the story that you start to live. And that's what you start to attract. That's what you find more and more of, right? That's what your brain seeks out, more examples
Mm-hmm.
of the reason why you can't, the reason why it's not available to you, because you're now running that script in your mind,
Yeah.
you know? And as we know, we see it all the time. Our thoughts are not facts. Our thoughts are not facts, and we're in control of them, and we have to choose them. And I have found that more and more in the work that I do, as much as we are working on something very external, the
Mm-hmm.
path there is, yes, there are many challenges that come up externally that we have to face and that we have to figure out how we're going to get around that, how we're going to problem solve, what resources we have, what network we can draw from, all of those things. But as much of the work on us as well, right? So you have to do the work and you have to work on you. You have to do both. And like you're saying, it's how long are you willing to navigate that season of suck? How
Yeah.
long are you willing to navigate where it's not perfect, where it's imperfect, where it's messy,
Yeah.
where it looks terrible, where it's not,
Mm-hmm.
where it's all
Mm-hmm.
those things. You started off the episode talking about that Instagram post that I
Yeah.
recently made. It is exactly that. I'm like, scroll down and look at my Instagram. They're horrible. My posts are
Yeah.
terrible. I wasn't working with anyone, but you know what? I was showing up. I was
That's
putting my
right.
message out there. The lighting was bad. My scripts weren't good. They just looked terrible. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I could have gone back and deleted them all. I could have been
Mm-hmm.
embarrassed by them and deleted them and taken them away and kind of said, let's just focus on what I'm doing now. It's much better. Right. But it's not, because it's evidence of the journey.
Yeah.
It's evidence of the journey, and that's how you grow. That's how you grow. You have to show up and you have to do the work, but you have to work on you too. I could look at those posts and think, oh my God, how terrible. But in fact, I look at those posts and I think, how brave,
Yeah.
right? How brave you were, how bold you were trying to
Mm-hmm.
be. And it's proof that you were
Mm-hmm.
doing those things. And look at how much you've grown. Look at how much you've grown.
Yes.
Look at how far
Yes.
you've come.
That's right.
And they're only going to get better,
That's right.
right? And it's going to get better and it's going to get better from here. So that's the story I choose to see and the journey I choose to see when I look back at them. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
I actually made that post. I was like, go and look, because we all have to start somewhere. We all have to start somewhere.
That post really, really touched my heart because it's transparent, it's real, it shows integrity, and that you're not embarrassed, that you're loving that past version. And that is so important for us to accept and again normalize that you improve as you go. And if you were, then you're hiding something, then you're ashamed of where you came from, and it's not as authentic. And
Mhm.
it's so important for us to see that, so that we can be encouraged to do the same, to
Mhm.
just start. So I have a quote on the wall here that says, in order to do something well, we must first be willing to do it badly. And
Yeah.
it's uh, given to Julia Cameron, who I don't know who that is, but this is the whole point of beginning. So if you go to the gym and you lift a weight once,
Mhm.
that's how you begin, even if you don't know what you're doing. You start to figure it out along the way. And, the result will be worth it. But for that singer, the result is so much greater than the album.
Yeah.
The result is that she chose herself and saw it through,
Yeah.
that she actually saw it through and did it. If nobody ever buys that album, which I hope they do, but if she'll still have accomplished that for herself.
Yeah. Exactly. I agree. And that is the story. I'm trying to remember the exact cycle of the steps in this process, and I won't remember them exactly or where it comes from, but I'm sure it has come across your Instagram, or if it hasn't yet, it probably will after this episode.
Yeah,
But
right.
it's that process of when you start something, it's like, I have this idea. Oh gosh, this sucks. This is so hard. And then you get to I suck. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, I don't know what I'm
Mhm.
doing. I suck. And then you get to, oh, I can see an answer. This is actually working. Oh my gosh, I'm fabulous. When you
Yeah,
get to the end, but it
yeah,
starts off somewhere in that mess is like, this
yeah,
isn't working. This sucks. I suck. And you have to be willing to navigate that to come
yeah.
out on the other end.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
come
to be
out,
uncomfortable,
yeah,
to be okay with being uncomfortable and being tested,
yeah,
right? Again, the gym analogy is so good for this because in order to develop muscle and cardio, you have to grunt, you have to sweat, you have to strain, you
yeah.
have to make weird faces.
You have to feel the pain, you have to feel the soreness, you have to feel all of those things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, in order to really grow through to get that result. So I want to kind of bring us, we probably don't have time for another story from the book, but definitely we'll have the link to that and look for that in September. But Tricia, what would you like? Let's kind of bring this all together here with a reflection as to what would today you say to Tricia that started out after leaving corporate? And either what is Tricia asking future Tricia, or what is future one saying to you today? So we can kind of bookend where, because what we forget is, get a little emotional. We're on a journey.
Mhm.
We're on a journey. We're living one day at a time, but each day is a piece of the puzzle in the masterpiece of your life.
Yeah.
And you're building it. And everything that you've added is contributing to everything yet to add. And
Mhm.
you're here right now. But it's not I mean, we get a little metaphysical. It is and isn't the only time that you exist. You
Mhm.
exist for every single day before and for the future that we darn well will take for granted until we die,
Yeah.
right? And you're on that journey. That's what we're talking about in the vision. And that's where freedom comes from letting go to what's happening today, because it's just a part of it. Did you
Mhm.
think you would get to this point in that first year?
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Um, no.
Thank you.
Simple,
Thank you for
simple
your
answer,
honesty,
no.
right? The doubts, the having
Yeah.
to be before. Yeah.
Yeah. I once had someone ask me, was there ever a point where you thought of giving up? And I was like, yes, every Tuesday night. Yeah. I mean, because it's hard. It's
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard work to build something new. It
Hmm.
is. It's hard work to build something new. It's hard work to face all the
Hmm.
beliefs and the fears and the doubts that you have. But what I would want women to know is it all is take action. You just have to show up for yourself in one small way every day. And I promise you that compounds.
Yeah.
That compounds. You don't have to be doing big, grand moves, big, bold moves. You don't have to be doing that. You just have to be taking one small action toward that thing that you want. And that will compound. And that's what's going to get you there. You asked me the question, what would future Tricia say to Tricia today? Even what would Tricia today say to Tricia of yesterday? I would say thank you. I'd say
Hmm.
thank you for for just keeping going, for
Yeah.
keep doing the small thing and to keep making the small moves, the micro actions, one small thing, keep capturing the evidence, keep building, keep nurturing the wins and building yourself. I'd say thank you. I'd say thank you for doing it. Thank you for being where you are today. And thank you for just keep going,
Yeah.
right? Because nothing is wasted. Like you said, nothing is wasted. When I left my career, that wasn't wasted. That was the foundation upon which I built
Hmm.
where I am today. The things that I invested in that didn't turn into anything, they're experiences that I have had that have given me something else that I have built
Yeah.
upon. So everything is leading me where I'm supposed to go. And I have to trust that. I have to
Yeah.
trust that. I have to trust that journey and I have to keep taking the action, keep taking the steps.
Yeah. Like trusting even bad decisions that we make along the way and using them for learning, trusting rejection
Yeah.
along the way and using them for growth and for data, like you say,
Yeah.
right? And allowing that to be part of it. How do we lead ourselves? Is by looking at everything and deciding which bits we're going to use for good
Yeah.
and rolling them forward. Beautiful. I'm really excited for your book to come out, that you're hoping to, inspire women and show them relatable examples so aligned with my message. And if you want to tell us a little bit more about that, although it's come out, and tell us a little bit about the Fearlessly You retreat. Is it in person? The
Yes, so the
15?
Fearless
Or...
You retreat is in person, and it is a bit of a sneak peek into the
Okay.
book because
Okay.
we are a big part of that retreat and the book is about demystifying confidence. It's
Yeah.
taking confidence from this very conceptual, nebulous thing
Yeah.
that exists and actually deconstructing it into what makes up confidence, the very practical things that make up confidence. So that's a big part of the book. So the book is separated into three sections. One is about the beliefs and the myths and some of the science behind confidence. The middle part is about the framework, an actual framework for how you build and strengthen confidence. And it gives you very practical actions that you can do across the three selves, the brilliant self, the brave self, and the bold self, the specific actions that you can do, and lots of case studies of different women that have practiced different actions. And then the third part in the book are the stories. So the chapters that are written by other women that are giving you the very raw, vulnerable look inside their lives and what it has been like to work on confidence, the moments when they've failed, the moments when they've recovered, the doubts that they've faced, and the thoughts that go through their mind, very real and raw. And they're kind of putting those out onto the pages for women to see themselves in that. So that's how the book is built. So it gives you the science, the framework, and the stories.
Mhm. Beautiful. And so important, because whether you want to record an album or travel the world or just enjoy getting your kids out the door to school every day,
Yeah.
this confidence is the way to make it happen. It's sense of self, right? It's peace and freedom with self. And it really is like, you can hear from Tricia and I how free we feel to be ourselves in running our lives and running our businesses, and in really showing up with who we want to be. So I took her confidence quiz. I loved it. It comes, I think it's three archetypes. I'm the quiet powerhouse, of
Me
course.
too.
Really? Aw.
Me too. I'm a quiet powerhouse. People often think that quiet powerhouses won't be visible, but that's not true. It's just
Yeah.
a way that they like to interact with the world, right? They like to find their own spaces to
Yeah.
step into visibility and elevation.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
nice to just, again, oh, okay, I can identify with this and I can kind of understand myself a bit more and then work with that.
Yeah.
So it was fun to do. It was really easy. And we'll put the links in there. And this was just such a beautiful, beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for spending time with me this morning and taking us through your journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much for your platform and for putting out the message to women that it's okay. It's okay to live life and have laundry to do, and it's okay
Yeah.
to have ambitions and dreams as well. And you can live in both places and you can make those ambitions and dreams
Yes.
come through, you know. So thank you for putting that message out there because we so need to know that and to hear that.
Yeah. Wonderful. Great. Well, have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Just another beautiful, delicious conversation, journey. I hope that it shifted something inside you and shed some light into somewhere that felt dark, stuck, or impossible. Nothing is impossible unless you want it to be. Yes, doors will close, but you can always pivot. That word may be obnoxious, but you can always pivot around and find another way. And at Powerful Inc., this isn't just about consuming content, it's interactive. So come and find me. I love Facebook. It's where I hang out the most. I find it the most interactive. Everything is tagged under the same spelling as the podcast, POWHERFULLINC. And today's June 23. On July 8, my program, The Everyday Woman Awakening, is launching, running 6 weeks through the summer. Yes, absolutely. An hour a week to meet in a small circle of maybe 5 women to anchor in some foundational pillars to hold you through this. You know, we are a holistic being and need support in a few different dimensions. So we go through spiritual, heart, emotional, and body pillars to create space, energetic space, creative space in ourselves to pursue more in an already full life. It is 1000% possible. I am living it out every day. I have a long list of to do, but I'm not often overwhelmed or run down. And I can just handle life so much better. And this is what the program delivers to you is peaceful and productive living. And it's very juicy and delicious. So thank you for joining me on another incredible episode. Tricia is a delight. What a beautiful new contact to have globally in the Rolodex for me and for all of you. And let's follow her along. We'll share her socials so that we can all get our hands on that book when it comes out and even just enjoy her posts and any programs that call to you. Because here it's about sharing, right? Here's opportunity to find somebody that's going to help you shift and become more of who you are. I love you so much. I'm wishing you such a powerful day, and I'll catch you in the next episode.